we've been listening to the right wing talk about what the Constitution does and does not say. This has given birth to a political philosophy, a political viewpoint called originalism. And what originalism does is that it takes laws and then compares them to or weighs them based upon the idea of whether the nation's founding fathers intended the Constitution to be interpreted in a particular way. So conservatives want to interpret the Constitution based on what the 18th century said, how things were interpreted in the 18th century, how things were dealt with. And if something was not written into the Constitution and it was not mentioned in the Constitution, then there was no constitutional support for that. And they've argued that any movement to interpret the Constitution to cover something that has developed since the founding fathers, that is extending and overstepping the bounds of the Constitution. Now there are challenges that are coming to that. And so the idea of originalism is basically kind of on shaky ground right now. So what we're seeing from conservative political philosophers and think tanks is a movement to a different form of constitutionalism called common good constitutionalism. Now, we have already seen this in play. It goes back to the 80s. It goes back to the moral majority. It goes back to the idea that this country was founded on Christian principles of right and wrong, that this is the 10 Commandments, that this is the idea of our country in the United States is somehow a reflection of some idealized Christian national political system that is some mashup of theocracy and democracy. And so this new movement is trying to say the Constitution was written for the common good, but that common good should only be interpreted through a single lens worldview, which would be that of Christian, right, conservative morality. And as that Christian, right morality is tested, as it is pushed, there is a pushback in saying that when you step out of that morality, you are acting on a belief of something that is not good for the common, for the public, for the rest of the people. As Emily and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, I said, what we are seeing is this belief among Christians that their worldview is good for everybody, and they are forcing the idea of a belief system into the public. The public is bigger than that belief system. The public, the mind of the greater populace, is more than that of this single worldview that demands we follow their rules of right and wrong.
Yes, and then the other thing that we see from them is that if someone else is doing something that based on their beliefs, they don't believe in, or they don't agree is within that code, is right within that code, then that is an affront to them. And that is infringing on their religious right. Yeah. And so that's, a main thing that they're using to target people and to limit others' rights, because they're saying that simply you being you or doing this thing, allowing this thing, is an infringement on my right to not believe in that thing. And so it's very dangerous.
Or to not endorse it, or to not accept it, or to not affirm that the person who is doing that thing is a valid human being.